fairy tales.
We will start with Cinderella and the actual horrors that it is. Or do you want to do Red Riding Hood?
Do Cinderella. I like that one better. But first, tell them the mini story behind Ring Around the Rosie.
Okay. Everyone know. Well, I shouldn't say everyone. I should say most people in our age knows the. I guess it's a lullaby, sort of rhyme, sort of thing. But it's Ring Around the Rosie. It's also a little game that kids would play. It goes ring around the rosy, a pocket full of posy, ashes, ashes, we all fall down. Actually, let me go back to Skype so you... Not robot! Okay. And it's ring around the rosy, pocket full of posy, ashes, ashes, we all fall down. Well, what was it, during the 1800s, 1700s?
Black Plague. Black Plague era.
Yeah, it was the Black Plague era. And that's what this is actually about. Ring Around the Rosie is actually about the Black Death, the Black Plague.
It's how they taught children about it.
Mm-hmm. Alright, Ring Around the Rosie stands for the funerals that they had. People would stand around the graves and lay flowers on them. They would usually lay a ring of flowers around them, if I remember correctly. I'm not sure about that. But a pocket full of posy, this is actual truth. When you did get the Black Plague, you actually gave off a certain odor. I'm unsure of what this would smell like or what it was.
I thought it was because they carried flowers and herbs in their pocket to help ward away the plague.
Well, it was that as well. It was to mask the smell and to ward it off. But yeah, pocket full of posies, they would actually carry flowers and herbs and whatnot. Not only to mask the smell if they did have it, because they didn't want other people to avoid them. Because, you know, people avoiding you kind of sucks. And they would do it to kind of ward it off. Oh, they thought it would ward it off. Ashes, ashes stands for when people would die of this, they would actually burn the bodies. It was very, I shouldn't say traditional or a norm, but it's what happened.
They did it to try to kill the plague so it wouldn't spread from the bodies.
Yes. That's what the idea was, but it kind of decimated the population still. Didn't really help any. So, yeah. And we all fall down. That simply signifies the large amount of people that died during that era. I mean, if I remember correctly, I think it was, what, a third or so of the population of Europe that died, including ours as well. I mean, it killed a large amount of people. Are you jumping? You were jumping.
I had to jump to fill in the ceiling. First room completed.
Alright. Now get the story. Hopefully I can find it. Come on, page, load. I want to give you guys the actual story. I don't want to, you know, be wrong. Alright. The actual story, Cinderella or the Little Glass Slipper, is a European folktale embodying a myth element, myth element of an unjust oppression / triumph reward. Basically, it's about a woman living in an unfortunate circumstance that suddenly changed into a remarkable remarkable future. Believe it or not, there's different versions of this thing. Jeez. And one of these versions is by the brothers, by the
Grimm.
brother,
The Brothers Grimm.
in their folktale collection, Grimm's Fairy Tales. Although both stories' title and the character's name change in different languages, in English, it's called Cinderella. Blah, blah, blah. Neglect. Alright. Alright, do you want the plot? Ooh.
The plot? We don't have time for plot. We're supposed to be telling horrible stories, not showing people breasts. Who is it? Who is it? Oh, hello, zombie. Get out of my house. Continue.
Alright. Where is it?
Where's what?
Well, I found a National Geographic page with Brothers Grimm. This one? This one? Alright, here we go. Cinderella, and this is by Grimm's Fairy Tales. Oh, let me see how long this is. Alright. It's a bit of a long stretch, but I can read it if you want while you're working.
Yeah, I'm just digging, so go right ahead.
This is the real story of Cinderella. Am I roboting? Am I a robot?
Nah, you're good.
Okay. Cinderella. The wife of a rich man fell sick. As she felt that her end was drawing near, she called her only daughter to her bedside and said, "Dear child, be good, continuous, and then the good God will always protect thee. And I will look down on thee from heaven and be near thee." Thereupon she closed her eyes and departed. Every day the maiden went out to her mother's grave and wept, and remained continuous and good. When winter came, the snow spread a white sheet over the grave, and then when spring's sun had drawn it off again, the man had taken another wife. Sorry, Dad. Married again. Ugh. The woman had brought 2 daughters into the house with her, who were beautiful and fair of face, but vile and black of heart. Man, this is really good writing.
Well,
Now
what do you
began a
expect?
bad... True. Let me bookmark this. Now began a bad time for the poor stepchild. "Is the stupid goose to sit in the parlors with us?" they said. "He who wants to eat bread must earn it. Out with the kitchen wench." They took her pretty clothes away from her, put an old gray bedgown on her, and gave her wooden shoes. Steps is horrible. Yeah, I remember the Walt Disney version be a lot happier. Okay. Just look at the proud princess. How decked out she cried and laughed, and led her into the kitchen. There she had to do hard work from morning till night. Get up before daybreak, carry water, light fires, cook and wash. Beside this, sisters did imaginable injury. I'm sorry, I can't talk. They mocked her and emptied her peas. and Lentis into the ashes so that she was forced to sit and pick them out again. Hold up, let me grab a bottle of water. Yep. Yeah. Yeah. Un momento, por favor. Much better. Okay. In the evening, when she had worked till she was weary and she had no bed to go to, but had to sleep by the fireside in the ashes. And on that account, she always looked dusty and dirty. They called her Cinderella. It happened that the father was once going to the fair, and he asked his two stepdaughters what he should bring back for them. Beautiful dresses, said the one. Pearls and jewels, said the second. And thou, Cinderella, he said, what would thou have? Father, break off for me the first branch which knocks against your hat on your way home. So, he bought beautiful dresses, pearls, and jewelry for his two stepdaughters. On his way home, as he was riding through a green thicket, a hazel twig brushed against him and knocked his hat off. Then he broke off the branch and took it with him. When he reached the home, he gave his stepdaughters the things which they had wished for, and to Cinderella he gave the branch from the hazel bush. Cinderella thanked him and went to her mother's grave and planted the branch on it, and wept so that the tears fell down on it and watered it. It grew, however, and became a handsome tree. Thrice a day Cinderella went and sat beneath it and wept and prayed. A little white bird always came on the tree, and if Cinderella expressed a wish, a bird threw down to her what she had wished for. Sweet. It happened, however, that the king appointed a festival, which was to last 3 days, and to which all the beautiful young girls in the country were invited, in order that his son might choose himself a bride. I'm dehydrated, so I'm sorry guys, I'm really dehydrated.
Well, we don't need you dying on us. Get hydrated.
Okay, continuing. When the two stepsisters heard that they too appeared among the number, they were delighted. Called Cinderella and said, comb our hairs for us, brush our shoes, fasten our buckles, for we are going to the festival at the king's palace. Cinderella obeyed but wept because she too would have liked to go with them to dance, and begged her stepmother to allow her to do so. Thou go, Cinderella, she said. Thou art dusty and dirty, and wouldst go to the festival. Thou hast no clothes and shoes, and yet wouldn't dance. As, however, Cinderella went on asking, the stepmother at last said, I have emptied a dish on the God, I can't talk today.
Lentil?
Lentils. Yeah, lentils. Thank you. I can't talk. I'm terrible at this. Lentils into the ash for thee. If thou hast picked them out again in 2 hours, thou shalt go with us. The maiden went through the back door into the garden and called, you tame pigeons, you turtle doves, and all you birds beneath the sky, come here, or come and help me to pick. And there's quotations. The good into the pot, the bad into the crop. Don't know what that signifies, but
it means
cool.
Put the good ones in to be cooked, the bad ones in the field so they may grow into new crops. That's what it means.
Thank you, good sir. Then 2 white pigeons came in by the kitchen window, and after the turtle doves, and at last all the birds beneath the sky came whirling and crowding in, and alighted amongst the ashes. And the pigeons nodded with their heads and began pick, 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 pick. And the rest began also pick, 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 pick. And gathered all the good grains into the dish. Hardly had 1 hour passed before they had finished, and all flew out again. The girl looked into the dish to her stepmother and was glad, and believed that now she would be allowed to go with him to the festival. But the stepmother had said, "No, Cinderella, thou hast no clothes, and thou cannot dance. Thou wouldst only be laughed at." And as Cinderella wept at this, the stepmother said, "If thou canst pick 2 dishes of lentils out of the ashes for me 1 hour, thou shalt go with us." And she thought to herself that she most certainly cannot do. When the stepmother had emptied the 2 dishes of lentils amongst the ashes, the maiden went through the back door into the garden and cried, "You tame pigeons, you turtle doves, and all you birds under heaven, come and help me to pick. Good into the pot, the bad into the crop." How much do we have? Oh, we're almost halfway through. Or we are halfway through, I'm sorry. The 2 white pigeons came in by the window, and afterwards the turtle doves, and all the all the birds beneath the sky came whirling and crowding in, and alighted amongst the ashes. And the doves nodded with their head and began pick, 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 pick. And the others began also pick, 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 pick. And gathered all the good seeds into the dish, and before half an hour was over, they had already finished, and all flew out again. Then the maiden carried the dishes into the stepmother, and was delighted and believed that she might now go with him to the festival. But the stepmother said, "All this will not help thee. Thou goest not with us, for thou hast no clothes and cannot dance. We should be ashamed of thee." On this, she turned her back on Cinderella and hurried away with her 2 proud daughters. As no one was now at home, Cinderella went to her mother's grave beneath the hazel tree and cried, "Shiver and quiver, my little tree, silver and gold throw down over me." Then a bird threw a gold and silver dress down to her, and the slippers embroidered with silk and silver. Damn, I want a bird like that. That'd be nice. She put on the dress with all speed and went to the festival. Her stepsisters and stepmother, however, did not know her, and thought she must be a foreign princess, for she looked so beautiful in the golden dress. They never once thought of Cinderella, and believed that she was sitting at home in the dirt, picking lentils out of the ashes. The prince went to meet her, took her by the hand, and danced with her. He would dance with no other maiden, never left loose her hand. And if anyone else came to invite her, he said, "This is my partner." Nice, okay, I like this guy. She danced till it was evening, and then she wanted to go home. But the king's son said, "I will go with thee, and bear thee company," for he wished to see whom the beautiful maiden belonged. She escaped from him, however, and sprang into the pigeon house. The king's son waited until her father came, and then he told him the stranger maiden had leapt into the pigeon house. The old man thought, "Can it be Cinderella?" And they had to bring him an axe and a pickaxe that he might hew the pigeon house to pieces. But no one else was inside it. And when they got home, Cinderella lay in her dirty clothes amongst the ashes, and the dim oil and the and a dim little oil lamp was burning on the mantelpiece, where Cinderella had jumped quickly down from the back of the pigeon house and had ran to the little hazelnut tree. And there she had taken off the beautiful clothes she had worn and laid them on the grave, and the bird had taken them away again. And then she had placed herself in the kitchen amongst the ashes and in her gray gown. The next day when the festival had began afresh, her parents and her stepsisters had gone once more. Cinderella went to the hazel tree and said, "Shiver and quiver, my little tree, silver and gold throw down over me." Then the bird threw down a much more beautiful dress than the preceding day. And when Cinderella appeared at the festival in this dress, everyone was astonished at her beauty. The king's son had waited until she came and instantly took her by the hand and danced with no one but her. When the others came and invited her, he said, "She is my partner." When the evening came, she wished to leave, and the king's son followed her and wanted to see into which house she went. But she sprang away from him into the garden behind the house. Therein stood a beautiful tall tree which hung the most magnificent pearls. She clambered so nimbly between the branches like a squirrel that the king's son did not know where she had gone. He waited until her father came and said to him, "The strange maiden had escaped from me, and I believe that she has climbed up the pear tree. Sorry. Oh, I said pearls and stuff. Pears in that last one. Ooh, sorry, it's pear, not pearl." The father thought, "Can it be Cinderella?" and had an axe brought and cut down the tree, but no one was on it. And when they got into the kitchen, Cinderella lay there amongst the ashes, as usual, for she had jumped down on the other side of the tree and had taken the beautiful dress to the bird on the little hazel tree and put on her gray gown. On the third day, when the parents and sisters had gone away, Cinderella once more to her mother's grave and said to the little tree, "Shiver and quiver, my little tree, silver and golden throw down over me." And now the bird threw down to her a dress which was more splendid and magnificent than any she had yet had, and the slippers were golden. How do you think this is going so far, Grimm?
It seems like normal. That's definitely the story I was told as a child.
I wish I had these stories. These seem a lot cooler.
Yeah.
And when she went to the festival in the dress, no one knew how to speak for astonishment. The king's son danced with her only. And if anyone invited her to dance, he said, "She is my partner." Almost done with this. Okay. When evening came, Cinderella wished to leave, and the king's son was anxious to go with her, but she escaped from him so quickly that he could not follow her. The king's son had, however, used a stratagem and had caused the whole staircase to be smeared with pitch. And there, when she ran down, had the maiden's left slipper remained sticking. The king's son picked it up, and it was small and dainty and all golden. Next morning he went with it to her father and said, "No one shall be my wife whose foot this golden slipper fits." So it's not a glass slipper, it's a golden slipper. Okay.
That seems a lot more breakable.
A golden slipper or a glass slipper?
Gold over glass. Gold is more useless than glass, I'd say.
I see your point, but it's a story, so whatevs.
Yeah.
Then, were the two sisters glad, for they had pretty feet. Foot fetish. The eldest went with the shoe into her room and wanted to try it on. And her mother stood by, but she could not get her big toe into it. She was too small for her. And her mother gave her a knife and said, "Cut the toe off. When thou art queen, thou wilt have no more need to go on foot." The maiden cut the toe off, forced the foot into, swallowed the pain, and went out to the king's son. He then took her on his horse as his bride and rode away with her. They were obligated, however, to pass the grave, and there on the hazel tree sat pigeons and cried, turn and peep, there's blood within the shoe. The shoe is too small for her. The true bride waits for you." He then looked at her foot and saw how the blood was streaming from it. He turned his horse around, took the false bride home again, and said she was not the true one, that the other sister was to put the shoe on. Then this one went into her chamber and got her toes safely into the shoe, but her heel was too large. Her mother gave her a knife and said, cut off thy heel. When thou art queen, thou wilt have no more need to go on foot." The maiden cut a bit of her heel, forced her foot into the shoe, swallowed the pain, and went out to the king's son. He took her on horse as his bride, and rode away with her. But when they passed by the hazel tree, two pigeons sat on it and cried, turn and peep, there is blood within the shoe. The shoe it is too small for her. The true bride waits for you. He looked down at her foot and saw the blood was running out of her shoe, and how it stained her stocking. And when he turned his horse and took the false, I'm sorry, I can't talk. And then he turned his horse and took the false bride home again. "This also is not the right one," he said. "Have you no other daughter?" "No," said the man. "There's still a little stunted kitchen wench which my late wife left behind her. But she cannot possibly be the bride." King's son said he wouldn't. What he was to send her up to him. But the mother answered, "Oh no, she is much too dirty and cannot show herself." He absolutely insisted on it, and Cinderella had to be called. She first washed her hands and face clean, and then went down and bowed before the king's son, who had given her the golden shoe. She then seated herself on her stool, drew her foot out of the heavy wooden shoe, and put it into the slipper, which fitted like a glove. And when she rose up, and the king's son looked at her face, he recognized the beautiful maiden who had danced with him, and cried, "That is the true bride." Stepmother and two stepsisters were terrified. They became pale with rage. He, however, took Cinderella on his horse and rode away with her. As they passed by the hazel tree with the two white eyes, cried, turn and peep, no blood is in the shoe. The shoe is not too small for her. The true bride rides with you." And with that, they had cried, and when they had cried that, the two came flying down and placed themselves on Cinderella's shoulders, one on the right, the other on the left, and remained sitting there. When the wedding with the king's son had to be celebrated, the two false sisters came and wanted to get into favor with Cinderella and share her good fortune. When the betrothed couple went into the church, the elder was at the right side, and the younger sister at the left. And the pigeons picked out one eye out of each of them. Afterwards, they came back. The older was at the left, the younger was at the right, and the pigeons then picked out the other eye.
Alright, everybody, sorry about that abrupt cut, but Minecraft crashed, and he's gotta get going soon, so I just booted up XCOM, as I'm going to do an XCOM playthrough soon, eventually, in replace of Deus Ex, because that kind of went off the rails. I might restart Deus Ex later at some point, but right now, I apologize for Minecraft crashing and the abrupt cut, but he is going to finish the story, and then we'll say our goodbyes. Alright? Begin.
Alright. I'll just start that last paragraph. When the wedding with the king's son had to be celebrated, the two false sisters came and wanted to get into favor with Cinderella and share her good fortune. When the betrothed couple went to church, the elder was at the right side and the younger at the left. And the two pigeons pecked out one eye out of each of them. Afterwards, they came back. The elder was on the left, the younger was at the right. Alright. And then the pigeons again pecked out the other eye from each. And thus, for their wickedness and falsehood, they were punished with blindness for as long as they lived. How about dim stories? How about dim stories? Grimm. Hello? Oh, he left. He didn't even tell me. Alright, well, I guess this is where we're going to be ending it. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, this is where we're going to end it. This is the end of story time. Again, as Grimm said, we are both sorry that it was an abrupt ending
Cut.
to Minecraft. Or cut. It crashed. But this is kind of a a little tease. XCOM Enemy Within. I'm sorry. Grimm is going to be playing a Let's Play, correct?
Yeah, eventually.
Okay. He's going to be doing a Let's Play. Maybe within this next month or so. We are going to be continuing our Minecraft. We are going to be continuing our Fallout.
XCOM is... Yeah, XCOM's gonna come in as soon as I finish Fallout.
Okay.
It's gonna be
And
just a direct switch.
And Deus Ex is... It currently is having a trouble time and the game itself. So when we get back to...
Alright, dude, you're cutting out real bad. So... We're just gonna... We're gonna go. We're gonna see you guys next time with more Fallout, more Minecraft, and maybe more story time.
I like story time.
But in any case, whatever we do, it's gonna be funny, it's gonna be fun, it's gonna ruin your
Educational.
childhood. It will ruin your childhood forever.
It will, actually.
Yes, it will.
Alright.
Alright.
Next time, ladies and gentlemen. Have a good day.
Yeah, alright. See ya. Bye.